You ask, so you shall receive. A popular request from my viewers has been, how do you plan your routes? So today's video is exactly about that. First of all, most important thing is you need to decide where you're going to start from. So I figured this field of sheep is as good as any. I'm going to be using Komoot, but you can apply these principles to a normal map, Strava, Ride with GPS, I suppose. Some of the things you won't be able to do in those apps, and I haven't used all of them, so I don't know all the features, but I'm going to show you how I plan my routes. Now, I was going to do this like sort of sitting at a computer, just screen recording, but I thought, you know what, that is not very interesting, is it? No one's going to want to watch me sitting in front of a computer recording that. So we are out for a ride, and we'll cut back to my computer maybe a few times, and I'll explain what we're going to do. So we've got our start point. The next thing we need to do, well, you'll see in a second. Let's go. Here we are at the midpoint. How did we get here? I knew I wanted to ride about 30 miles, so I looked on the map, tried to work out what was about 30 miles away. I had an idea of where I wanted to go. In my head, I wanted to go somewhere where there was nice scenery. I picked out this reservoir on the map, selected it, chose it as my end point for my start point, and looked how far Komoot would calculate that to be. It's about 15 miles. So that's about halfway, right? So simple as that, really. It doesn't really have to be more complicated than that. So let's just rewind back a bit and talk about how we got here. Now, once you've decided on your midpoint of the ride and how far you want to ride, you need to decide how you're going to get to that midpoint. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? You might want to go and feed the ducks. Maybe you want to avoid the road altogether and stick to a nice, quiet canal towpath. Hello, hello. Maybe you just want to ride through a tunnel and do that. On in. Maybe you want to ride some gnarly trails. Oh, bear with me here. Trials of YouTube. I don't live in Whistler. This is what I've got to work with, okay? Either way, whatever it is you decide to do, you need to do this. So you already have your midpoint. If you're using Komoot, Komoot plans out the best route depending on what type of riding you've selected. So I've selected gravel for this ride. If you select mountain bike, it will take you on rougher routes. If you select road, I don't really understand that. It kind of tries to take you on main roads and stuff like that, which is a bit odd to me, but yeah, whatever. Now you've got your route planned. If you're using a map, you'll have to decide which way you're going to go.
We're going the wrong way. We have to get to Berlin.
It's not going to automatically do it for you, but if you use Strava or Ride with GPS, they're all the same. You pick your midpoint and then look at the map.
What's all that Spanish junk right there?
Who knows? Mel, you said you could translate right here.
And try and find these places that we've just been talking about. So along the route, see if there's any particular trails that you want to ride on. Have a look for bridle paths or byways. On Komoot, They are symbolised with a dotted green line or a white line with hatching along the side, so you'll be able to easily see what they are. The great thing about Komoot is that when you select a certain type of riding style, it will give you suggestions for places that other people have suggested and visited. So you can click on them and bring up the information. It will tell you whether, well, usually it will say what the trail's like, whether it's any good, whether to avoid it, or it could be a cafe, something like that. There'll be pictures of the nice cakes or whatever, and you can decide whether you want to include that on your journey to the midpoint. So what I generally do is I find all these points that I want to visit sort of just off that route that Komoot's automatically planned for me, and then you can either drag the route that it's planned to those places on the map, or you can click on those suggested parts and click include this on the route, and it will sort of reroute it along those ways. That's the best way I find to do it. It's that simple, really. There's a few other things on Komoot, or you could use Google Maps. Actually, you can use Street View. So this trail that I just rode down now, I don't know how they did it, but there's a whole Street View thing for this trail, which is very strange. A lot of these ones, especially this trail actually that I've just ridden down, is not on Komoot as a suggestion. So sometimes you need to just look at the dotted lines and decide whether you want to take the risk on that trail. Maybe look at the satellite map so you can have a look to see whether it looks overgrown. Sometimes you can't tell. Or if there is a street view, have a look at that, or the entrance and the exit to the trail on Google Maps as well. Or you can also, if you're using Strava, you can look at the heat map, although I don't particularly find a heat map to be very useful because it aims more towards roadies, I would say. So if you're planning on riding off-road, it includes all the road information, and well, I don't know, it's just not for me. I don't really find Strava route planning to be very good. In fact, I think it's pretty terrible. It's just, yeah, if you're a road rider, I suppose it's okay. But as a off-road rider, gravel rider, mountain biker, it is no good for that. I definitely recommend Komoot. I am not being paid by Komoot. If they want to pay me, let me know, and I'll take it. But I only say I'd do that because actually I've used it for years and it's really good. I've got no problem recommending it. So now I've talked about how we got here, we need to just head back to the start location, and I use the same principles as how we got here, which is set the start location as my end location. Komoot will automatically calculate the route, and then think about where I want to go on the way back. When I plan my routes, I usually try and do it as a loop, so it's not like an out and back and I'm going on the same route as I went out. I can see different things, so that's something that you might want to think about. I'm not gonna go into more detail on that because I think I've already covered that. So hopefully you found all of this useful, and my one tip for trying to make them old routes that you usually follow over and over again more interesting is to do them in reverse. That's what I did today. I did this one in reverse. I've decided to follow a route that I've used several times before today, just to talk through how I planned it originally. And I thought, you know what, let's do it backwards to try and keep things interesting. So hopefully you enjoy the video. I will see you on the next one. Let me know if you found it helpful, if you've got any tips for planning routes. And yeah, bye. Thanks for watching.